happy to welcome this guy back to the program. Huge fan of his guitar playing. He's just made a great record simply under his own name, Joe Holmes. And joining us now live on Trunk Nation is guitarist Joe Holmes. Joe, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks, Eddie. Played guitar today, drinking coffee, talking to you about new music. So everything's great.
Yeah, it looks like we're doing this on Zoom. I can see you. It looks like you've got your amps back there and your guitar.
Yeah,
You were just telling me you struggle with. We were trying to get you so you could see me on Zoom and everything. You
I can't
struggle
see
with
it.
this stuff like all of us guys around our age, right?
Oh my gosh, man. My daughter's the one that was just trying to fix it, but I'm just staring at it says production, but all good. And then, yeah,
Well,
Eddie, these amps, I've been using these since I was 19. And when I go in the studio, they pull out the 2-inch tapes. Like everything you hear on that record, that we use the Pro Tools and stuff, but all of that is just it's that 2-inch machine. Even if we want like mids or something on the guitars, I don't do it at the board. It's all on the amp. So when you're listening, it's how you like real music and real live. That's what we go for.
yeah, man, and I appreciate the hell out of that because you can tell there's just a certain sound, man. Real
Yeah.
guitars plugged into real amps, and the way you record and what you do is great. I guess let's start right in on this new record, Joe, because it's out now. You had been gradually releasing some songs from it, and now finally the full record is out. And for those of you that will watch this interview when we post it, I'm holding up the album cover so everybody can see it. That is Joe's new album under the name Joe Holmes. Now, Joe, you did music with this same band under the
Yeah.
name Pharmacos, and then you decided to change it to just your own name. So talk about that decision.
Because yeah, Pharmacos, I was hoping it was going to turn more into a band, and it just didn't work out that way. Robbie lives in Arkansas. He didn't move out here. It's so for me, by me going under Joe Holmes, I could just I could play with different musicians. I could keep it going, and whoever wants to play on it, like this, I'm getting ready to start working on another one, and hopefully it'll be Mike and Robert. So I like to keep everyone together. Robbie's been consistent in it, and another guy that man, I didn't last time I was on, I didn't tell you about, but Brent Hoffert wrote the lyrics. He wrote all the lyrics and melodies on this record, and he did on the Pharmacos too. Robbie wrote some stuff on that too, but Brent has been, he's really well read and just such a great musician, and he's he's really important to this whole thing. So hopefully, I could keep doing some records and going under my own name. I could. It's not going to, I could switch out guys if I had to, and you know, do whatever I have to do to keep it going.
Well, when you mention Robert and Mike, for those that don't know, that is Robert Trujillo, who's currently, of course, and has been in Metallica, and Mike Borden from Faith No More on drums, and that's who played on the Pharmaco stuff and has played on this with you. And of course, your connection with them goes back to they were the Ozzy band when you were in Ozzy, right?
Yeah, yes, and man, it's so great because I got such a great chemistry with those guys. I mean, we did a bunch of shows together. You saw that lineup too, right? That's the one
Oh
you saw.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did so many shows together that even when we're not together and we do get together, like doing this one, man, it came together so quick. It really, we just got such great chemistry together, and even outside of music, these guys are like family to me. I mean, Robert, his daughter Lula, I'm the godfather to Lula, so there's such a even bigger bond, beyond the music. But the music, we get together and it's just God, it feels so good, and that's why going under Joe Holmes too, it makes it easier because I mean those guys are in their bands, so it's hard to, I'm Eddie. I'd love to go play live, so I'm gonna have to have two different lineups. Like maybe if I play LA, we've talked about maybe doing some one-off secret shows, and that's a possibility with these two guys. But I'd like to get like if you said, "Hey Joe, let's come play Vegas," I need to get say, "Yeah, I'm going to go do it" and stuff. And these songs live would sound so good. I mean, I play them on these amps, and it sounds heavier than even the record. It sounds really good. So they're meant to play live. So so anyways, I'm starting to put feelers out for some guys that I could use that could go and, you know, go play shows regularly, you know?
Well, I was going to ask you about that. That the logical question if you're going to play live. But before we get there, I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to ask you: did you know Robert and Mike prior to you guys all coming together in Ozzy? What year was that, Joe? That was the Ozzy band that you guys first all came together.
That was like 90, I think maybe the end of 95, 96-ish. 96-ish we were playing together. And because Geezer did the first South America tour and the European tour. So when I first got in there.
Was that your first tour? What was your first
Yeah,
tour with Ozzy?
that it was 1995, and
And the
we went.
band was Geezer and who was on drums? Was it
It
Tishy or
started
was that after?
no, it started with Dean Castronova, and then they ended up getting Randy Castile came in and played. You know, like
Okay.
after I don't know a handful of shows, then he came in, and then Geezer after the South American tour or after the European tour, then Mike Inez stepped in for a leg or two, and then that's when we got Robert and Mike. So
And and did you know those guys? Because it's amazing. Like we just talked about, they're both on this record, and they were both on the Pharmacos stuff as well. And they're both in obviously enormous bands, especially Robert with Metallica. Did you know them prior to that, or did you guys form this chemistry and friendship and bond just being in the Ozzy band together?
just being in the Ozzy band, you know, Robert, when he was in Infectious Grooves and stuff, used to rehearse at a place called Mates in North Hollywood, and I used to
Hmm.
rehearse there with my band, but I never met him. I never met him until the Ozzy, you know, connection. And
Right. So you
it's been so many years after. It's just such a it's been such a great friendship, with these guys.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing, and it speaks to their character as well. Robert, I know, I don't know Mike at all, but Robert I know quite well. He's been on the show many
Yeah,
times. It speaks to their character that Robert's in Metallica, but he's still going to take time out to record and work with you on this stuff. That speaks a lot to his character and also to how much he's a fan of what you do. Because we've talked about it.
yeah, he's really he's so supportive. So him, Mike, they want the best for me. I want the best for those guys, and so when we get together, I mean, Eddie, he'll come over here sometimes and work on just different things. And man, it's just we don't even need drums. It sounds so good. It's freaking tight and just feels so. I'm spoiled with that way. So I got to find some guys that got chops like those guys. I don't know if you know of anybody or if there's anyone else out there. They could always send it to our website and stuff. But I'm definitely putting feelers out now and going to start getting in the room and jamming with guys. But I'm spoiled with these two guys because let me tell you, they're just amazing. I mean, just this record, you listen to it and it starts off with that speaking to the scene. You listen to the freaking drums and the bass and it just hits you and it's so raw. And then right after that, we go into that Cross-Eyed Stare song and that's an 11. And that for Mike is a whole different avenue of going down. And man, he played so great on these weird time signatures. So it's bringing the best out of all of us. It's really, there's no rules, me and Rich Mauser co-produced both of these records, the Pharmacos and this one, and we you know we have nobody in there telling the guitar sounds, the way the songs are coming out, the way I'm writing. I have nobody telling me what to do or to try, and it comes out real honest, all this music. So it's just been man, this last one was a lot of fun to make. Pharmacos one was more of like a science project, which was great. But at that point, Brent, um, when he first got in there, was writing the lyrics and he was trying out singing. So we were experimenting with like tuning down to D and stuff. And so a lot of that's in D. And then there wasn't even solo sections. And I'd end up putting, creating solo sections for that one. This one, man, I just wrote it I didn't put a part from another song, anything. This one just really flowed together so naturally. And for anybody that wants to check out, what I'm about, and this one really represents me. It really
Yeah.
just the guitar sounds, the solos, sometimes like on this last one, instead of playing up and down the neck. From the sixth string did just in one spot. I would start at the first fret, go up to the second fret, the 22nd fret, back down, and it makes your phrase different and stuff. So, it's just experimenting with different things on the second side, like Waken to the Inside and God, the other one, Waken to the Inside and Lay You Low. I experiment with some like reverse guitars. It's the first time I ever got that right, because sometimes I would reverse something and then learn it, flip it over, learn it, reverse, then flip it back. But this time, I feel like I nailed it with that, and and just the arrangements, man. I just dig on the songwriting on this one a lot. I love the
Yeah.
Pharmacos too.
Yeah, no, it's slamming stuff. It really, really is. And we should, I don't want to overlook your singer, Robert Locke, who is on both records, because he's
Yeah,
got some pipes on him, and he does a great job singing this stuff. And where did you find him? Because
and
that's always a big thing, man, trying to find a guy who can deliver the vocal that you want on this material.
especially what's really great is when he like this record, he's singing Brent's lyrics, but he's owning it, man. It sounds like he wrote those things. So, and that's really hard to do. Robbie's just got such a great soulful voice, and he's he would be going and playing live with me. He's totally down and wants to do it too. So, but I found him through my other friend Dave that does pedal boards for a bunch of people. He knew of them, and I just started sending him stuff. Geez, gosh, that was probably 2000 and getting old here now, because that was probably 2000 and like maybe six-ish, seven,
Mm,
when
yeah.
Pharmacos, before the Pharmacos, we started, it just went slow. Maybe 2008, 9, I don't know, somewhere around then. But,
And
but
Joe, for you, I know that for people that don't know your story, I mean, you played with obviously huge artists, David Lee Roth, Ozzy, uh, taught by Randy Rhoads. I mean, huge stuff. But then you pretty much, just kind of recapping your journey here. You pretty much kind of checked out for a while from the music scene, right? Because I think you told me this in the past. You had a family and you decided you
yeah,
didn't want to do all that. And then a number of years ago, dove back in with Pharmacos and this material that you're doing now. This whole sort of thing, like taking that break and then coming back into it, so much changes so quickly with the music industry, and how things are done and how music is even released and how you get it to people, if you can get it to people, get people to take notice. What is your feeling about where things are at now that you've
and
been back in for a few years and you're actively making records? How do you feel about everything?
well, and that's why I appreciate you, because man, there's not too many people that are out there, you know, flying the flag the way you do for new music and stuff. And that's what I really appreciate you, Eddie. You've been so supportive of me through all this. And um, I, I,
Well,
you
Joe,
know what?
let me stop you right there. And I appreciate you saying that, but this is important for people to understand. I certainly know you, but we don't have any sort of great history, and we
Yeah,
don't know each other real well or anything. So people have to understand that. Like for me, and this has been the thing with me forever, and this is important to me. Like me getting behind your music isn't because, oh, Joe's a buddy of mine for 40 years, and I just it's only for one reason. It's because
yeah,
it touches me. It moved me. What we talked about. It's freaking great. It's slamming.
and,
So people ask me that all the time. They're like, "Hey man, how can I get you to get into my?" Well, you know what? Deliver something that connects with me and I become a fan of, and that's what it's about. So it's important when people know that, because there are a lot of artists that I have long friendships with and all that. And, we're certainly friends, but you know what I'm saying? This isn't like, oh, Joe and I go back to high school and I'm just doing it to help out an old buddy. It's only for one reason. Your shit blows me away. It's
well,
unbelievable.
Eddie, and I thank you. And let's go ahead and say this, because when I'm even in the studio, it's funny when I write a song. Like I've got another batch of songs, and there's this one. But anytime I get like something, I'm like, I'm always thinking about you. I got to send it to Eddie, or I can't wait till Eddie
And you
hears
do.
this one. And yeah, but that's the way I think too. I know we got a connection with that, and I think it's just how you're so like Michael Schenker and the guitar players that you dig on, man. I'm so into the same stuff that you're into. And like Michael Schenker, you're so into Michael Schenker. And, he was like saying a development stage. And then when he's at his, being creative and then expression stage. And I kind of feel, have you ever heard him talk about that? Because I feel
Oh
like I'm
yeah.
in my expression stage. Like I get in the studio and they'll hit that 2-inch machine, those things, man, and I just go for it. And it's because I'm comfortable with Rich too, and the sounds we get and stuff. But I feel like that too. And I always toured a bunch and was always, like when you said disappeared, I was working so much, trying to out there playing and gone. And then didn't do some records. And then, you know, I ended up around, I think it was 2000 and, well, 2000 and I was done with Ozzy 2001. So maybe 2004, I ended up having my daughter, Haley. She's 22 now. She's the one she does all my posts, how we're talking about setting this stuff and everything, man. Cause I stay away from all this. Um, but, we decided to have it, cause we weren't getting any younger. So we're like, man, me and my wife were okay. So we had Haley, and then I was getting offers to go and meet with other bands a lot back then. And I just, at that point I was like, man, I just need a break. And then a couple of years into that, my dad ended up getting bad dementia with Lewy bodies. And so me and my sister were around my dad like daily, and he broke both of his hips, and then those didn't take. And so anyways, so that was a couple of years. And then my dad was always my biggest supporter. I mean, he used to go to my Randy Rhoads lessons, take me there. He sold his car one time to get me to buy me equipment, and he was taking the bus to work. So
Mm.
when he was not feeling, he always would ask me what's going on. I mean, he used to love Michael Schenker too, but he'd go to shows and tell me I'd be wanting to fly off, and he'd be telling me to play with more feeling. And um, just a great guy.
Was your
And
dad a musician, Joe?
no, but man,
Oh.
he knew good guitar, and he loved good music. And he was just so supportive of me, and he wanted me to go this path. And he'd always ask me, I started doing this stuff for which it didn't work out in a good way, because I don't play video games either, but I started working with these producers for video games. And Robert was playing on it, and Brooks Wackerman. I had all these guys on there, and it ended up being at the end, which it was supposed to be for licensing. It ended up being a work for hire. So I ended up not doing it. Um, but it got me back in the studio, and then I would see my dad. I'd play him stuff, and then I met Robbie, and I was working with Brent, and I just having fun going back in the studio, and just started. I did the Pharmacos thing, and I should have put something out sooner after that too. But it's like, because this record, I started it before COVID hit, and then I went to we moved to Arizona. We kept our house here in LA, but we moved to Arizona for 3 years, and then COVID hit. And then after COVID, I was driving back and forth for like, I don't know, 25, 30 times going, from Arizona to here, working on this record, finishing this one up that's out. And then after it, then Robert was touring and waiting for all the planets to line up, and Rich was so busy with stuff. But I mean, this could have came out maybe a couple of years ago too.
Mm.
Um, and I've got a bunch. So this next one, I hopefully could pop out here like the old bands used to do. I'd like to get in there and start doing it soon. Rich's studio that we did both of these records, that burnt down and in the Altadena fires this last year.
Oh.
So
Oh, that's
I'd be in
terrible.
there right now. But I already put like 14 song ideas down to like flick tracks to get to these guys, and was doing all that. And I just recently started doing it again too. Because we're like a well-oiled machine too. So we got to figure this out, like where we'll record the next one. Rich is rebuilding, and he's been getting a bunch of old gear again. So he's right now got a house that he's renting, and he's got a guest house. So I've been going over there recently doing that stuff. But I got to focus in on this one now and get this one. And everybody that's heard this one's been so into it. My guitar player friends, and just everybody that I'm really close with are really into it. And they say they got it on repeat and stuff. So um,
Yeah.
it's great to finally get it to this point where we get it out there. That's a success.
Yeah, for sure. It's
But
slamming stuff.
But
And
like
it's
you said,
available, Joe. Joe, it's available on all the. I have the physical CD, which I'm holding up, but it's also
yeah,
available on all the streaming outlets now as well. People can hear it anywhere.
yeah. Do you collect vinyl too, Eddie?
No, I'm not a vinyl guy, but I know you've got vinyl there as well.
Yeah, because this we just got in, and I did like 500 of them. So I mean, if you want, I could send you one or a couple of them. But it's for pre-order because this comes out at the end of August, and it sold a bunch. So I think these are going to be gone. And the only way I'll do another batch is if I'm playing live, because another thing I've learned, how you said about the business, is like I ended up doing a distribution deal with Org. Do you know Org Music?
No.
Yeah, I did with them, and if you go on their site or go on our site and buy it from them, then I get a bigger cut. But man, once all these other retailers and it goes out to the mom and pop stores, the cut you get, man, is really it's a lot less. And so I don't know
So
about.
tell people, Joe, with that in mind, tell people if they want the vinyl or the CD, where do they go to get it? What's the best place for you to go for them to go buy it?
Well, the CDs are available everywhere, and now, which I'm glad, because I could have put it out sooner, but when we did the Pharmacos thing, the album, I remember I got contacted because they were selling it on Spotify on Merch Bar, and it was in a jewel case, and we never did that. So some bootlegger was putting them out.
Oh,
So yeah, and so now they're available in Europe and stuff, so it makes it easier for somebody to get it. But they could go, like, I've got a website now finally too, and they could go on there, and it's got all the links to where you could get it, and then the CDs are available everywhere. And you know what, too, Eddie's really cool is because these CDs, the vinyl, and I got to tell you about that, but the CDs, man, are the closest thing. When I put them on, they're so punchy, the closest thing to our mixes. And we got rid of a bunch of these already. Like I had like 8 boxes of these, and those, I think we're down to 1.5 boxes of those. So, and there's like 240 in each one. So I didn't know if people were even going to get CDs because they're not even in our cars, the CD players. But the vinyl, it was tricky. I became really good friends with. Do you know who Joe Barisi is?
yes.
Yeah, I ended up doing these test pressings, and we did a lacquer, these test pressings from another company. And I had Mike Tempesta from, he works at Charvel over here, and he was
I know,
asking me
Mike.
about vinyl. Yeah, and he was asking me about the vinyl, and I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to do it on this one because it it didn't sound right, man. It wasn't sitting right. And then he goes, you know what? I know Joe Barisi. So he contacted Joe, and Joe said, have Joe call me. And man, I hit it off so well with Joe, man. And he set me up with Nick Townsend that went back to Rich and said, send me unmastered, files, and freaking just knocked it out of the park. So the vinyl sounds really good. So when you listen to the vinyl, it sounds like you're listening to our 2-inch machines, the tape. It's a little
Yeah.
warmer, but the CDs are punchy and stuff. But yeah, Joe would be a good guest for you to have on because he's, man,
I
just,
actually, Joe, I actually had him on
oh,
uh, because he was the guy. I did a special broadcast. For a while, I was doing shows every month from the Rainbow, from the patio at the Rainbow.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I haven't done them in a few years since COVID, but that they were a lot of fun when I was doing them. And we did a special because they had put out a special edition of Dio Holy Diver,
yep.
and Joe remixed it for its 40th anniversary.
Which
So Wendy Dio was up there with me, and Joe came and talked about remixing the record, and I did have him on, so I did meet him. Yeah, it was
man,
great.
he told me to tell you hi. I'm gonna have dinner tonight with him, but I've been seeing him every week, man. But he's really into this record, and he's turned it on to so many people. So luckily, thank God for Joe to got me on the right direction because we went with Fidelity. Do you know that? They two guys, the father and the son that used to be at RTI, started Fidelity, and they do all the audiophile guys they dig on. So
Yeah.
on Fidelity. So, anyways, we got 500 of these, so all good.
So the big question then, and you touched on this earlier, is playing live. It sounds
Yep,
like you definitely want to do that. You just got to
yep,
figure out how
yep.
and with who. And is there a timetable for that, or is it just finding the musicians and then finding the dates? Because obviously you want to go into cool venues where there's going to be people there and they're going to know about
Yep.
this, obviously.
That's it. It's like, because people are saying, come play Detroit, come play here, man. I would love to do all that. And I know,
Right.
because you're around a lot of people that I know people that are behind the scenes and that are in the bands. And man, it's really, it costs a lot to go do this stuff, even with techs, everything. And so you got to, do it right. To do it right, it's you need the right offers and stuff. But I would love to like do these runs like I used to do it with my old bands, going to like Arizona, San Diego, come out to Las Vegas, do like 5 shows and
Yeah,
stuff.
drivable dates. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm game, man. And only thing with me is it's just they got to be able to have the chops, so they got to be able to keep up with like what I've had with Robert and Mike and stuff. So, and they're out there, man. There's some great players, but I'm so out of touch with it. I'm just recently, even Barisi's been sending me and telling me, check this guy out, this guy. So I just started doing that. So I'm game,
Um,
whatever comes first, whether I'm in the studio doing more songs or I'd like to be doing it all at once, playing, rehearsing, doing it all. So
Joe, before I let you go, I want to ask you. I can't not ask you about some of your past stuff, and
yeah,
I want to ask you about. I want to get you. You've been involved with, worked with, taught by some truly iconic people in the rock world. For people
yeah,
that don't know, you were taught by Randy Rhoads, right?
yep,
So if so the three big ones, and I know you played with Lizzie Borden and you've had other projects, but the three big ones are when people talk about you and know of your work, it's like, wow, he was taught by Randy. You joined David Lee Roth under bad circumstances, sadly, because you had to replace Jason Becker and came in on Little Ain't Enough for the tour because Jason with ALS, who's still incredibly bravely battling that. It's unbelievable.
yeah.
But you played with David Lee Roth, and of course you played many years as Ozzy's guitarist. So if you can, starting with your experience with Randy, can you go down the line and like go Randy, Dave, Ozzy, and give the audience like one great story or experience from each of those three things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, Randy, I was lucky because this guy popped into my life that took me to the Starwood when I was like 15 years old. And I ended up going to the Starwood and Quiet Riot was playing. And like 2 weeks later, I don't even know whatever happened to this guy. I don't even remember his name, but I knew him long enough to go there to the Quiet Riot show. And I don't know if he took lessons from Randy or if he knew he gave lessons, but I ended up, going. I was living in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey too. You knew that, right?
No, I didn't know that. Where?
Oh yeah. Well, I was born in Neptune, but I lived in Long Branch and Oakhurst and
Oh,
um,
down by the shore. Yeah, I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So I bounced
I knew
back
I
and forth.
liked you.
Yes, yeah,
Hey, Jersey, come on. Oh,
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I see you post and you're by the, you're out there with a bike and
yeah, I have
stuff.
a house at the beach. Yeah.
Yep. And I love New Jersey too. All my relatives, they're all there. But so when I was like 15, we moved back here, 14, 15, and luckily I hooked up with Randy, man, and he was a perfect guy for me to look up to because, man, he just put things in really ways that I could understand it. Like when the first lesson, I was waiting outside for him, and he was, it sounded like him playing through a stack or something. He was playing through a little practice amp with probably an MXR Distortion Plus, and it was so intimidating. I wanted to leave. I mean, I was like, man, I'll come back another time. And he walked out, and this small guy, and it was the best, man. I stopped going, Eddie. I stopped going to high school for like 43 days in a row because I just wanted to. He was going to England to, I guess, do the records, and he was going to come back for a couple weeks, and I was going to take some more lessons. And man, that's it. I stopped going to school, and I was just working on all this stuff that he had showed me, and He really,
Was this at the school, Joe, Musonia?
yeah, yeah, Musonia.
And were
And
there other people that you saw going in and out of there that were also taking lessons from Randy? Like as a teacher, what was he like as a you were taking lessons? Like, of course, this was, of course, you could already tell he was a great guitar player, but he wasn't Randy Rhoads yet, Ozzy's guitar player.
yeah.
What was he like just on that level? I mean, I know you just said you were blown away by what you were hearing from him, but like as an instructor, was he good in communicating and giving you
Oh,
guidance?
he was the best. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not into idolizing people. He was a perfect guy for me growing up to look up to, or any young kid. He just was so patient. Made sure when every every teacher has a different like formula, but he made sure, and it could be real confusing. He made sure you understood what he was showing you, and he'd teach you things that you wanted to learn. Like he would tell me, he'd go. I'll tell you one story. He'd go like, when you're sitting there, because I was in high school, he goes, and you're waiting for the teacher, and you're playing like air drums on the table, and I'm going, yeah. He goes, well, you're not doing the same beat all the time. He goes, you're chopping it up, right? And and he goes, and then he would show me like 4 or 5 notes, and he goes, okay, stay in this box and start. He would start doing this phrasing stuff, and just things that stuck with me. My alternate picking, just everything, and he was such a great guy that it was so contagious, his love for music, and he wanted to go get his classical degree after, and
Right.
um, he just really made you, you know, want to dig into the instrument. Like I remember when I went to him, I said I was going to this other teacher that was teaching me like these seventh chords and stuff, and he stopped me. He goes, "Listen, one day you're going to want to learn that stuff." And man, then that's all I totally into learning all that chord phrasings and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
he was
And
very infectious.
it sounds like even now at this point as a player, do you still call on some of the advice he gave you? Is it still in your head?
all the time. A lot of these solos and stuff, and it's funny because Joe Breesy came over about a week ago, um, and we were sitting in the room here, and I was showing him this one. Recently, somebody posted some scale patterns that Randy had done, written out. And I'm like looking at them, and I'm doing them, and there's a couple notes in there. I'm like, man, what is this? And then this thing that I use all the time. It was a combination of these scales that he was doing, and so me and Joe were trying to figure it out. And he's on AI or whatever. What's this with these two notes? But I think about him, all the time. With last thing he said to me, we were in. It was around Christmas time, and I was going to the Sherman Oaks Galleria with my mom, and Randy was walking out, and I ended up. Am I looking at the right thing on this thing?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're
Okay,
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. Yeah, but he was
Yeah.
he was walking out, and I saw him, and I wanted to know all about what was going on with him, and he's asking me about, do I still have this Les Paul or this that, and then when he was leaving, he looked over and he goes, "Learn your diminished." That's the last thing he ever said to me. I'm like, "What the heck is diminished?" And I use these diminished and off notes all the time. I'm really into it. So, and I mean, one day, Eddie, if you're in LA and I know you're always busy, but you got to come over and we'll do a guitar hang, and I could dig out if I dug out some of the cassettes, I got to get them transferred. But of him, just, man, just ripping. And another thing with him is he had that sound, man, that Randy sound. And then I'd be playing rhythms, and I was on a clean amp. And then when it came time for me to solo, I'm like, oh God, man, just didn't have that juice that he had.
Yeah. Yeah. And from then the
But
with
but you know what, too,
Roth.
Eddie?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
at that point when I'm like, can you see these heads here? I
Yeah,
ended
I
up
can.
I ended up hooking up with, in my teens again, with, do you know who Jose Ariando is? He did
No,
like
I
amps for
don't.
like Eddie Van Halen and stuff. And when I was that age, I got to meet Eddie, um, going over to Jose's shop. One day he pulled up in his Lamborghini. It's when they were huge. He goes and gets a Schlitztal and some cigarettes and comes back. And I'm sitting in there with Jose and Eddie Van Halen. And so it just, all these things rubbed off on me. Like the pickups I got in these guitars, I was testing my amps with Jose, and then Jose would go, the guitar was one of those Kramers, the red and white Kramers. And I'd go, Jose, why does this sound so good? What pickups in there? And it was a Jackson J80. And that's what I've got in all these guitars now. And I've had them since then. So I've been using the same stuff. But all these guys were so important to me. I was so lucky, fortunate to be around all those people that helped shape me for my sound. Like Randy helped me for when the David Lee Roth gig popped up. He taught me all these techniques, these alternate picking, these legatos, because I was brought up on the Randy stuff. And when I had to learn all the Van Halen stuff, oh my God, and all the Steve Vai stuff and all the Jason Becker stuff and Gigolo, I wanted to throw the guitar out the window. I never learned any of those jazz chords. So it was so much learning but so beneficial. And Dave was so smart. He'd have me learn, like, one time he had me learn a Clint Black song. And I'm like, what the heck am I learning this for? And then sometimes, Blue Jean Blues, I had to learn that ZZ Top song. And I'm just so grateful because he really introduced me to a lot of the bluesy playing, and just every situation helped me for the next.
And I'm assuming getting the Ozzy gig, I mean, Ozzy, I'm assuming you talked to him and he knew that Randy taught you, right?
He didn't at first, but he said that my fingers reminded him when I got they came down and saw my band that I had before I joined them, that had nothing to do with like we were kind of experimental with effects and stuff. And
what was the name of that band?
Well, it was called Dogma, and then it was called Alien Inc.
Okay.
But my first band, Tariff, the very first version of it, that was really really cool band. Both, I had two versions of it, but it was more of the Ozzy-ish, my Randy type of influence, like Deadfall, the song Deadfall.
Sure.
I've had that since way back then. A lot of that song, and that's something
that's on the new record that we were talking
Yeah.
about for people listening. So
Yeah, and that's something that I could have pictured of the style of the Randy's like influence and the style of going to, if I had gotten to do the record with Ozzy, that's something that I, the style that I'm really into. And anyways, it's, everything has led me up to the next situation. And the Dogma Alien Inc. thing was experimental. They came down, and Dean Castronovo came down, and I think he brought, maybe it was Sharon the first time, or maybe came the first time. Then the next time, Ozzy and Sharon came down, and maybe someone else from the office, Michael, and we played our songs, which were completely different. And then I think we played Crowley because I knew that one, and I never learned any of the Randy songs either because, I had his influence and stuff in him, but I always wanted to do, be yourself. He always encouraged you to be yourself. So, anyways, they ended up, inviting me down the next week to play, and I played four songs with him, and Ozzy was like a couple feet from me, and he was watching, and that's when he said that the technique and this, reminded him of that, probably the alternate picking, just the way I approached the guitar. And then he shook my hand. They were talking, and he said, "Welcome aboard." And then I had to learn all those songs, and because we had 3 weeks worth of rehearsal, and then we were off to, we did one show in Austin where we were doing the production setup, and then we were off to South America doing these, huge places, Monsters of Rock, all these big shows, and I still figuring the set out,
Yeah.
And that was
Joe. Yeah, Joe, I've always said, and I don't mean this with any disrespect at all, but I feel like you are the forgotten Ozzy guitar player only because you didn't make a studio record with him. And I also felt pretty strongly, and I don't know how you feel about this, that you should have been, and I don't know if you were, asked to perform it back to the beginning because you came in there and held the fort during a really important time for Ozzy, turned in some great shows. It was a great band. And I just feel like when people talk about the arc of the Ozzy guitar players, they I think sometimes Gus G, who did do a record, isn't talked about that much, but you were in that band for what, 5, 6 years? I mean, you were in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Is that in any way frustrating to you that people don't
No,
always remember that you were the guy in
no,
there?
no, and because you know what, Eddie, I'm telling you, if you saw, I'm all about. I mean, I'm on the guitar every day. I'm a student of the guitar, and I, I, I mean, I wasn't. First of all, back to the beginning, I wasn't asked. So that I don't know. That's pretty much I could tell you with that. But as far as the records, when I first got into Ozzy, like the Deadfall and stuff, and I'd play certain riffs, he'd ask, "Hey, what's that?" There was an exciting period. So that first year or two would have probably been if I was ever going to do, something that, a record with them, maybe, I don't know. But there was so many people writing for the record that me and Robert got 3 songs on, but there were so many different people writing for that, and it just
Was
was
this
time.
Osmosis?
No, the act after that, the one, I had a song called Junkie and That I Never Had, and
Down from Earth or whatever that
yeah,
one was?
yep, yep,
Right.
yep.
Okay.
And it's all good, but at that point, there was. That's why I'm so grateful for me that I got to put these 2 records out, and if people want to see what I'm about, they can listen to these because it's really, I'm it represents what the way I write, the solos, just it really represents what I'm about, and all good. I mean, Zach was in there before me and in there after me. Sometimes I'd be doing, we did 3 shows, with Black Label Society was on at the end of, I think, the 2000 Ozfest, and Zach was totally cool, so supportive and stuff. But you'd see him sometimes on the side stage with him, and one time I saw him in Dimebag, and man, you end up playing for those guys. You're like, oh fuck, those guys are over there, and and he has such a good chemistry and history with Ozzy. So when he came back, it was all good, and even on this record, I you know I dedicated to the honor of to what Ozzy meant to me as a mentor and a musical influence. It's Ozzy was such a good guy, and he was so supportive of. He was a great person, man. So
Well, Joe,
I'm just grateful for all the opportunities I've had, and and it's all been good. But I just got to see what the next step is. Right, the next stage.
yeah. Yeah, one last thing I got to ask you because my friend Larry Moran I just saw texted me and he said ask Joe if there's any more 40 Thieves tracks that might see the light of day. What is 40 Thieves? I must admit I don't know that band.
40 Thieves. I don't even know that. 40
Maybe I don't
Thieves.
know. Maybe he's got the wrong band here. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
said he said he thought that was a project you had.
40 Thieves. No, no, no. But
Maybe
there's a
he's at the
bunch of,
wrong.
Eddie, too. There's so many different recordings and stuff and demos and stuff that you've done. And, I'm just glad it's just getting to put this stuff out. But the business, like you said, is different, but I'm all about the music and I just want to keep going and we'll see where it grows to, but it's really been positive and man, I'm just happy that this one's out, and I'm glad I'm getting to talk to you and that you're listening to it and dig it and stuff. But I'll leave you with this. When I was going through the desert when I was in Arizona and coming back and forth, man, I wrote a bunch of riffs, my versions of desert inspired riffs, and I got some really cool ones. So this next one, is going to be pretty fun to do too.
Yeah, no, well, you definitely sound hyped for the next one, but this one is out now, so
Yeah, I got to
everybody
work this
dig
one
in.
first. Yeah,
Exactly.
I shouldn't even be talking about that. Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool that it's flowing again for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
if you're ever in LA and like even like Brent, you're friends with the Brent, right? Didn't he take
Brent
lessons from
Woods.
Brent? Yeah, Brent
Brent
Woods.
Woods did. Yeah, Brent did take some lessons at Musonia. I think that he told me, if I'm not mistaken, that George Lynch was at that time also an instructor working out of Musonia. So
Wow.
I think that he told me that although he met and did get a lesson from Randy, I think that as the school grew, I could have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure he told me that they started bringing in some other people to also teach, and I think it was George that was doing stuff out of there at the time.
Yeah. I saw some videos of Brent doing the Randy Rhoads Remembered stuff, and man, he was nailing it. He had when you watch somebody that you could tell he had was influenced and took lessons from Randy. He really great
Yeah.
player, and also this one this it's 74. But my friend reached out to Brent. And we were asking where he gets his Les Pauls worked on, and he ended up sending me to this girl Tina that dialed this thing in. So anyways, but if you're ever out here and Brent's out here, whatever, man, you guys come on over.
Well, yeah.
We'll do a
Yeah,
guitar
yeah.
hanger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't play, so I'll just watch you guys play and wish I could play.
We'll get you playing. We'll cut through all the fat. I'll get you on.
I'll tell you, Joe.
Drills.
I'll tell you, Joe. That's one. People ask me all the time. I've been doing this 43 years, and they ask me if there's anything I regret. And the one thing I regret is never learning to play. But when I'm retired, which whenever that might be, and I have the time to dedicate to it, I do want to learn how to play just even some basic chords, because I know all these great guitar players like yourself and Brent, and then all these other guys. And I just can only watch, but I'm such a fan of the instrument and fan of that style of playing that, I just have great appreciation for it.
Well, if you come over, if we get together, I could give you just a couple little exercises, and you just do them for fun. I promise you, we could cut you through all the fat. Like I said, there's so many different avenues to take, and it could get confusing, or it could be really easy. A
All
lot
right.
easier.
Well, I'll take you up on that. I'm in LA often, so we'll
And
definitely
you know
make
what
a plan to do that.
You know what, too, Eddie? Because I don't want to let you down either. That's why I'd love to I got to put together a gnarly band, and then I got to have you. Unless if I get to do a couple, because we've talked about this, like secret one-offs with these guys that are on this record. I need you to be up there announcing us how you do this with all these other bands. So
I love to do it, man. I mean, look, I think what you're doing just screams to be played live. So I'm rooting for you to put this together, and I hope that you can get a band together and get some live shows, even if they're low key small ones. I mean, that would be killer. So anyway, man, great talking to you. I got to run, but everybody check out Joe's album. It's super simple, just under the name Joe Holmes. And I would tell everybody too, the same band, but if you want to also hear something slamming and you slept on it, go back a few years and check out the record under the name Pharmacos. It's the same exact band, and it's also slamming stuff. But this is great, Joe. It's great to visit with you. I'm glad we had a chance to do this, and stay in touch, man. And I wish you the best, and I'll definitely come see you in LA.
Perfect. Thanks, Eddie. I really appreciate you.
You got it, Joe Holmes. Everybody, some great stories, some great conversation there.